UTCM was birthed from me realizing that there is a greater me on the inside of me. The phrase, there's a greater you on the inside of you, means being above normal, understanding your worth, and being confident in knowing who you are. But the first person who has to realize that there's a greater you on the inside of you is you. In life, we all go through stages of the good, the bad, and the ugly, which leads us to our purpose and promise. UTCM is a platform where you get to share your story and your truth of unmasking moments that allows you to embrace all stages in your life. UTCM looks forward to many people being able to unmask, uncover, and unveil themselves on the podcast. Thank you for watching and joining us.
Girl, hey. I am, well, first of all, we were already having like a whole podcast moment that we lost track of time. Sorry. I'm like, oh, Brie, it's 7:32 already.
Listen,
we just got the talking and completely forgot we didn't have a camera on. But hey, everybody. Welcome. I am super excited. This has definitely been a journey. This is the end of season 3. I'm like, oh, wow, this is 3. I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Amazing, scary. There's a couple more adjectives. I don't know what, but yeah. Yeah, it's been a journey. The journey is journeying. I'm like, yeah, I know. I told Brie, I'm like, the thought is thoughting. The thoughts is thoughting. Well, welcome everybody. I'm just super excited. I'm like on like this natural high. I feel like because I'm just excited about this journey that God has me on. But I'm more excited to have Brie on here. I remember asking her last year around this time, would she be a guest? So last night when I was talking to her, I'm like, do you believe it? I asked you this last year. It felt like I just asked you this yesterday.
right.
And it's here, like already. So yeah, so I'm excited. I just want to thank everybody for coming on, for watching. There's so many people coming on, watching a live. What I did forget to mention, Brie, when people like are commenting, I will make sure that I put the comments up so you can see it too, while we are talking. You don't necessarily have to answer or respond or anything like that. It's just, to kind of like just, show you who's watching, who, may say something or whatever the case may be. But I see a lot of people are watching. I'm super excited. And I just thank everybody for their support. Yeah, it's been a journey, y'all. For real. Yeah. So I see a couple of people coming on, some faces and names that I don't know, but yeah, that's good. I like it. How are you feeling?
I'm here. We gonna do something.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I really, like, ever since I met you, which was was it in 2021? I think, yeah, it's 2021. I met you. And how I met you, it was just like the whole thing and how it happened. I really wasn't supposed to meet you because I had a whole different publisher at first when I was going to first publish my book, and then that didn't pan out. So then I had to get another publisher who Shar Phelps is. I just love her. She is amazing too as well. Throne Room Expressions, who published my book, but you were the graphic designer. And once we met, it was kind of like just an instant click.
Yeah.
Like all 3 of us. It was just amazing. I was super nervous because I was kind of like really wanting to throw in the towel at that point, because I'm like, okay, I didn't, wrote the book. I went with the first publisher. It didn't work out. I'm like, yeah, I'm off of this. But you guys just opened your arms, and it was just like, I literally just fell in your arms, and I just was able to kind of just tell you what I was looking for, let you know what was going on. And you just, birthed my, my vision. So Breiana is the one that has did all the graphics for my book Unmasking the Covered Me. So yeah, so you're looking at the wonderful graphic designer. Yes. Bring. Yeah, so and I was just so, when I saw it, I literally just cried because everything that I expressed to her and like there was reasoning behind everything that I wanted, like you just delivered it. Like I think that's the right word instead of saying birth. Like you delivered what I spoke to you, like with excellence. The first time there was no like having to go back. And the crazy thing is how God really worked it out was because my first cover, I was just settling for. Like that's not really what I wanted. And when I explained that to you, like you guys just worked phenomenally as a team to, you know what I'm saying, deliver my vision, which was amazing to me. So I've just held you near and dear to my heart ever since then.
Absolutely.
Like, real. Like we've been like grinding out, like, ever since that point. So now she gets to kind of, speak her truth and tell her story too as well, right? So yeah, we about to
We diving in?
Yeah.
Okay.
We diving in, Bray. We diving in. Yeah, she is the best. She is the best graphic designer. Like when I tell y'all, she even has done like some flyers and stuff from my church and like just so professional, like so on point, so like she just looks at detail and it's just amazing. Bree is an amazing, phenomenal woman, and I'm just grateful and thankful just for her, just for her life, for real. I really am. So right, Bree, yeah, we're going to dive right on this. So, this is my question that I ask all my guests. How did you feel about the questionnaire? What was your thoughts?
I said, now you should tripping. Really? I did not sign up to go to counseling 2 times today, but no, it was really, really good. I enjoyed the questions a lot. I like introspect work, just to look into yourself and figure some things out. But it also gave me an opportunity to assess my growth. Some things I would have said or how I would have answered it previously wasn't the same. So it took me on a little journey, more so for myself, like personal assessment, personal growth. Because sometimes it's easy to, encourage somebody or look at somebody else's growth and you often overlook your own. So yeah, it wasn't too shabby, but you could have told me I was gonna sit on it.
Like is she in my business?
Yes.
Right. But you know what is and I agree with you, right? On that, because even for myself, I answered these questions before giving these out to my guests, right? Because right, you have to be the first partaker, right? Like I can't be on this platform, talking about unmasking the cover me, and I'm not even doing the work myself.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's very, when you allow yourself to sit with yourself, ooh, it's something about putting it in black and white.
What?
Ooh.
It makes it real.
It
It's one
makes it
thing
so
to
real.
let things dance in your head, of course, but when you see it in front of you, it's a different level of reality,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm a firm believer that you can't unsee what you see.
Yeah.
So as long as it's in your head, you don't always quote unquote see it. Um, and so seeing something in black and white, um, and writing it down. I know we're all tech savvy, but I think there's also a bigger difference between physically writing something and typing something. It takes
Yeah.
a little more effort. So when you see things in black and white, it makes things reality. And it's up to you now to figure out what you're going to do with the reality. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely a great fact. Absolutely. And that's what I always share with somebody when they ask me a question like, about like writing. Right. And I always say, or like when they're going through something, I'm like, do you journal? Right. Because I know that is, everything that you go through, it may not always help somebody, but there's always somebody that it can help. Right. So that's always my go-to, because I know that really helped me in this journey. Right. And it still helps me in this journey. I still write to this day. Sometimes I don't write as much as I should. But when I do write and I have that opportunity to really sit with myself and put it in black and white, it makes it real, right? And it allows me to really get out what I'm thinking, right? Get it out my brain, get it out my heart, and really put it on paper, right? And then being able to sometimes go back to it and read where I was, at a certain point, at a certain point or place, in my life. So yeah, there's something about putting in black and white, and that's always my go-to. Like people say, oh, I can't sleep at night. I'm like, have you ever thought about writing? When you get up and you're just, and you're up, like, have you ever thought about writing it down, like writing your thoughts out, like whatever it is that's coming to your mind, just writing it.
Yes.
Yes, I love it. Oh, hey, you know what? Y'all better come through in the room, okay?
Listen, they showing up tonight.
They showing up. Yes, they are. I want to, you know what? I just thank everybody. I really, really do. I thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate all the support, because like I always say, this unmasking journey is not easy, by far, right? There's one thing when you have to begin to acknowledge things that you have gone through, what you're going through, but then when you decide to actually share it with other people, right? Because we have no idea who may tap into, watching this live stream, like at all, right? So there's something about being able to be a vessel and a testimony to others, and showing that, you're not alone.
Right.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
You are not alone. Trust me. And for many years, I thought I was alone, but you're not. You're not. You're not. Which kind of, I want to, because, I just kept thinking about sunflowers. And I know that is because, sunflowers was a part of, my whole journey with the book and all that stuff. So every time I think of Brie, I always just think of a sunflower, right? So it just could not get out of my brain. And I was just like, sometimes you go back and forth. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just look up like quotes about sunflowers, right? Because that's what I thought of. And I mean, it's the perfect quote, okay, when I tell you, right? So I'm going to read it. So it says, sunflowers follow the sun, but did you know when it is cloudy and gray, they face each other and share their energy? Imagine if people would do this too. Right. And what that made me think of was like this unmasking journey. Right. And that's a kind of like a good segue of what I was just talking about, and how when you're going through it, you feel like you're alone. Right. So I feel like, when I was going through that really, really like hard time of, like really kind of disqualifying myself, because it just wasn't going right with the first publisher and all that stuff. And then I was obedient to like reach out, right, to Shar, and then we connected, and it was like that energy, right? Like, cause it was really dark and gray for me in that moment. Right. But then I was able to turn to you guys as a sunflower, right. And gravitate off that energy, right. To say, you know what? No, like it wasn't the end, right. This was just, this was just the next step, right, that you needed to take. And it's a part of your journey too, as well. Right. So if it can all be like that, right. Like understanding that you're not alone. Right. And sometimes you're going to have to go in that secret place, and you're going to have to be able to uncover, unveil, and unmask some certain things, right? And whatever that is for you, that's for you. But know that you're not alone. You have a community, you have people, right? And I think that's what sunflowers really like kind of resonates with me, and what it means to me, that all my guests that are coming on, you guys are like my sunflowers, right? It's like our energy are gravitating towards one another, and we're saying we can do it. You know what I'm saying? We doing it. We got it, and it ain't easy, but we on this journey and we on this road.
Right.
Yeah, so that was my little spiel. But enough about me.
Bet.
Enough about me. I want you, Bree, to, brag a little bit about yourself, right? Because, some people that are on here, of course, they may know you, right? And some people, they may not know you. So let the people know a little bit about who Bree is.
So, first of all, if anybody knows me, this is probably the most uncomfortable thing someone can ask me to do. However, I'm Breiana. I am definitely feeling every bit of 30, but I'm 32. I'm married to the best man ever. Actually, he's back there. Um, to my
Hey,
husband. His name is
he's
Willie.
online too. He's on.
Yeah,
He's on live. He's
he's
on
here
live.
for sure. We've
He
been
is.
married for 10 years. We have a wonderful son. But he's like the best son ever because he's an angel. I am an entrepreneur. I am an author, and there's a couple of few things that's like on the birth that's on the horizon for 2024. I love all things creative. I love to write. I love to dance. I love to cook. Um, I love people, although I'm an introvert. However,
Mm.
people.
Speak to that. Speak to you being an
I
introvert.
don't I don't mind being by myself.
Mm.
I'm like I like the solitude. I know how to be extroverted when I need to be, but my
Mm-hmm.
preference is really honestly to just lay low. I think it probably has a lot to do with like my upbringing. All of my siblings are older than me.
Okay.
Every last one of them. Like the closest sibling I have in age is 9 years apart, and she's 9 years older than me. All
So
of the
you the
rest of them,
baby.
I'm the baby. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All of the rest of them probably got me by 20 to 25 years.
Mm.
So I think my upbringing just taught me how to enjoy my own company. And
Makes
so,
sense. That
you
makes
know,
sense.
I like to hang out by myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that, because not everybody is comfortable with being by themselves. Right.
So being an introvert doesn't necessarily mean that you're comfortable with yourself.
Oh, come on. Come on, Bree. She coming out, y'all. Let's go.
Sometimes sometimes you have to, even as an introvert, you have to learn to be okay with yourself.
That's
There was
good.
a time because sometimes um if anybody ever asks me how am I always say I'm coasting. um Coasting can mean whatever in your mind you want it to mean, because it's probably never the same answer. But coasting was always a defense mechanism. And one thing I had to learn is just because um a lie is told multiple times, it doesn't make it the truth. And even when the truth is rarely told, that doesn't make it a lie either.
Mm,
So coasting was my way of letting everybody know I was okay, but I wasn't okay because I didn't know who I was. I didn't I didn't know this individual. Like I'm always with her, but who is she? What did I found I lost myself in overcompensating and showing up for everybody else. So I had to
mm,
learn to be okay with myself. That's the beauty of being an introvert, is when you hit that strive where you're okay with yourself because you know who you are, then it's okay. I don't then you don't mind. That's when going on dates by yourself doesn't bother you. Going to the mall, going to and I will get in my car and go on a trip by myself and be perfectly okay. But that takes steps to get there. You got to be okay and know who you are before you can even appreciate being an introvert.
yeah, that was good. That was good. So you said a lot, right? And I just want to unpack something because you did mention that in your questionnaire. You talked about you overextending yourself, overcompensating, right, in every area of your life. So, like, what did that look like for Bree?
I hate being disappointed.
Mm,
I would never probably admit to other people that I am disappointed or something let me down. Um, and I internalize it. You know what I mean? I come from a place to, if something didn't happen, I've always asked myself, what did you do to not make it happen? So I remember very early on, I made a vow to myself that I didn't want other people to feel how I would feel. So if I could prevent someone from being disappointed, from being let down, or not feeling like they have support, I always would show up. I however I can show up, I would show up. And I learned to say yes even when it was detrimental to myself, detrimental to my health, my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health. I didn't know the beauty of no. Like that is a complete sentence. And I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't know the beauty of it. And because I didn't know that, and because I wanted to make sure everybody else was good, I showed up. I could be crying my eyes out. My friends will call and say, "Hey, you got a minute?" And they can start venting. No one ever said, "Bree, you good?" or "Do you have the capacity for me right now?"
Mm-hmm.
I could show up. I could. It doesn't matter if someone asks. 9 times out of 10, my answer would be yes. And so I had to learn that, over compass. I can't fix everybody. I can't save everybody. And honestly, I can't be there for everybody. And so I had to learn those boundaries. And it's not that I didn't want to show up, but sometimes I just couldn't show up. And I had to learn to be okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that, and I like what you said because you mentioned that in your questionnaire that, no, being a complete sentence. And I know that that can be challenging, and hard. Right.
Yes.
That's, to sit here and for me to say that I can say no all the time, I feel like I'm still like I'm in the learning phase of how to actually do that, especially when it comes to, doing certain things, whether it's at work or right. But then I think that that also goes back to really knowing who you are,
Mhm.
right, and being okay with who you are. Um, so what I guess my question to you is, like, what does that look like for you when you say no to someone, right? Because somebody may want to know how to do that, how to say that.
So most of the time my no is honestly not going to be a hard no unless you push me to a hard no.
Mm,
Um Sometimes my no is going to be not right now, or um can we try something different, or I'm not available but I can refer you to this person, or whatever they're needing in that moment. Um and your discernment really has to kick in, because sometimes people ask for things, physical things, emotional and spiritual things, and we're so quick to fulfill it and try to make it happen, and we're really in the way because they never consulted God. And the very thing that they're looking for, if they would really go to the source, they would have it. And so you
mhm,
got to make sure that you're honestly not just saying no for yourself, but making sure that you're saying no so that you won't be in the way of God's process for that person. That's just
mm,
like if somebody always come to you, asking you for a piece of bread, and you give them a piece of bread, and they come to you tomorrow and you say, "Can I have another piece of bread?" And you give them another piece of bread, and then you say, "Well, since you like bread all the time, let me teach you how to make bread." And they say no, right?
mhm,
And the next day they say, "Naisha, can I have another piece of bread?" You're going to keep giving them bread and you're not going to have any bread. But you can stop that cycle if they take what you're offering. You're offering education, you're offering a skill so they'll never ask for bread again. And you got
mm,
to know when people want you or they want the need of you, the attention of you.
mm. Wow.
And so your no is really not to hurt anybody. Sometimes your no is to protect you.
Mm.
And so I'm in a place in my life that self-preservation is first and foremost. So if it's gonna protect me, then yeah, it's a no. It's a not right now. I don't have the capacity. It's the let me get back with you. And people don't like to wait. They become real impatient. And that's my favorite one. Let me get back to you. Because they don't like the wait, they're gonna figure it out. And they're gonna do it on their own, or they're gonna go to somebody else that can fit that need right there. And I'm perfectly listen, I am perfectly fine with you finding somebody else to fit your need. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Mm.
So no looks, no can look however you need it to look, really.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, because depending on, who is pulling on you and what is needed and how is needed. I think the most important thing though is knowing your capacity. Like you said, right? Like if you're not in a good space, right, it just goes back to, not pouring from an empty cup, right? Like how can, and I do understand sometimes, you know what I'm saying, especially like being in ministry, right? There's going to be sometimes that you're going to be pulled and tugged at, right, for different reasons. But again, it then goes back to, again, right, like really knowing you,
Mhm.
right, and knowing what you're able to give right now. And sometimes it has to be a no.
I will also say, even when you struggle to say no, it is imperative that you surround yourself with people who will protect you.
Mm.
My family dynamics, my village, when I don't have the strength to say no, sometimes they're going to speak up for me. And so when you're too weak to say no, and not weak because you're intimidated, because sometimes we become weak because we're intimidated by their response, but when you're weak because your cup is just empty, you have to allow others to hold your arms up when you don't have that capacity.
Mm.
So I'm grateful for my village, my leaders, just my the people that's in my circle, um, my family dynamics, they're they're everything, because I would say honestly, I would probably say yes to everything.
Mm.
And it takes them to say, yeah, no, not right now. I mean, real transparent moment. I've been sick for days, 3, 4 days. This is probably yesterday was my first day out the house. Today is my first day up and moving. And there was so much stuff that I really wanted to do. And it took my village saying, hey, no. People reaching out, hey, no, she can't, you know? And so even when you can't, you have to make sure that you're also surrounding yourself with people that can when you can.
Yeah, that's good. And then not even being ashamed to even share with your, what I'm saying, your circle,
You
right?
can.
Yeah, not being ashamed, not being fearful of, of being judged even by your circle, right?
If you
But
have to
tapping
question,
in and saying, hey,
if you have to question whether or not you're going to be judged, or if your circle is going to give you any rebuttal about your vulnerability, you might want to check your circle. Your village should be your safe place.
mm, uh-oh. I don't know what's going on with our
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
connection.
Guys, I think she's having a few issues. My apologies, guys. I think she's going to jump back in. Yes, you can ask some questions.
Okay, am I back?
You back.
Okay.
Like you never did. Like you never left. Welcome back.
Well, I appreciate you staying on.
Welcome back.
My husband came running upstairs like, Naisha, I could hear you. I could hear you. I'm
It's
like, something
okay.
went wrong. That was the first. You know what? Listen, this is all a part of podcasting, but I also feel like, sometimes those interruptions, when you giving out good stuff, right? Those interruptions like to happen, right? But yeah, this ain't gonna stop no show. The
We
enemy
back,
will.
baby.
Yeah, we back. We back. And Bree was holding it down. You was holding it down, Bree.
POP.
See, that's what she's talking about. The circle. You feel me? So my husband told some Bree was about to start taking questions.
Actually,
Questions anyone? Questions anyone? Questions
wait,
anyone?
somebody did ask.
Somebody asked a question.
I don't know what the question
Oh,
was.
it says, can we ask some questions, Bree? I mean, this is you know what? Listen, why not? Right? This is the first time that anybody has actually asked that question. So I'm gonna say, yeah, let's shoot your shot. You know what I'm saying? If you got a question, go right on. Go ahead. Ask the question. We out here. We out here. So
Yeah,
let's
now. So
listen, let's go. We didn't got interrupted. You know what I'm saying? We bringing it back. Like, yeah, let's do the darn thing. So before we kind of got like interrupted, you were saying some really really good stuff, but I'm putting my husband on blast, right? Because he came over, he wrote something on a post-it note. So I guess this is something that kind of piqued his interest, and it was talking about like the when you were talking about the introvert, right? So I don't know what he wants to know, so I'm going to ask him to put what his question is or what he wants to know, put it in the chat, so then Bree can ask you, because she got some knowledge on that. So let's see. Oh, okay. So Lady Sanders, she asked, what was the hardest part of unmasking you? That part.
now see,
Right? Do we even have enough time?
now see, it's always some people in Pensacola that be trying. No, but seriously, my hardest part was being true, being honest with myself.
Yeah.
Um, and being willing to embrace the journey. Um, Truth can do one or two things. It can either propel you forward, or it can paralyze you and leave you standing in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely up to you which one it does. And on the other hand, it can do both. So I had moments where I wanted the truth, but I was afraid of what the truth would look like. Um, I was afraid of trying to figure out exactly what I was going to do with it. Or was there anything necessarily that I needed to do with it? Struggle with that. I thought that I was going to just have a straight journey. And that's not, a masking is not a straight journey. Sometimes it's going to be, and I know this is not a word, the curviest um route you'll ever take. Whether you're going straight forward, around, sometimes it feels like you're in a holding pattern. And that was hard for me because I'm a person that wants to get things done. If I don't want to feel too much for too long. And so sometimes unmasking made me feel things longer than what I wanted to feel them. And that, hear me, the most uncomfortable thing, because unmasking means that you have to lose control.
Hmm.
You can't be in control and unmask at the same time. It's an oxymoron, because as long as you're controlling it, when we control things, we also have a tendency to minimize or try to exclude things that becomes uncomfortable.
Mm.
So I would say facing the truth as well as relinquishing control has to be the hardest part of my unmasking journey in the past and even currently. um Probably the two biggest things that I struggle with.
Mm. Mm. So you said a lot, and I have another. It's another question. But I wanna I wanna go back, right? Because you talked about, it just being the curviest road, right? And having to really, I don't know if you said it like this, but like sit with yourself, right, and certain things for too long, and that in itself, right there, is just that's on a whole nother level, right? Because you're like, I retreat. I don't want to sit in this. So then, and then you think that, okay, so since I didn't decide, decided not to sit in it, that you still won't have to deal with it. Oh, no, no,
Oh
no.
no, it don't work that way.
It don't work that way at all.
I had to sit in with myself with a lot of uncomfortable things. um I sat with myself with finding my father dead at 5. At no nobody, it doesn't matter who you are. You cannot tell me that a 5-year-old can comprehend that. You just can't.
Right.
So
Right.
the adult me had to sit with it in order to embrace and comfort and reassure the child me. Um, I had to sit with being sexually abused. Even the teenage me could not comprehend that. So the adult me had to comprehend it, accept it, let it go, and then go back and embrace the teenage me. Um, and give her all of the assurance and the love that she needed. Um,
Mm.
and then as an adult, losing my son, um, I still don't comprehend it. I comprehend it in spurts, and I'm grateful for the capacity that God gives me. And so I have to embrace myself in every phase and every moment of my life. And sitting in those moments, it even if I have to ask myself the same question over and over again, if I have to sit in those moments of flashbacks, you just have to be okay with sitting in those moments and okay to feel
Yeah.
emotions. Yeah, return to sender.
Mm.
0 out of 10 stars. Don't recommend. Like, I don't recommend them at all. However, emotions is what make you you. It's what make you human.
Yeah.
So sitting with yourself, who else knows you better than you?
Yeah. And that's why a lot of people don't like to really unmask, right? Because you actually, when you actually have to sit in those emotions and feelings, um that's not something that us as human beings like to really do, because it hurts too bad. So the first sign of uncomfortability is like, oh, no, 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 I want to go back to where it's comfortable. So me actually having to sit in those emotions, of that, like you said, that 5-year old, right? And I'm going to speak for myself because what you said something like very powerful, right? I'm getting ready to unmask right now. I'm about to have an unmasking moment.
Let's ride.
Um, I didn't realize, right until I think it was like one day, about 2 weeks ago, or either last week, I got revelation about finances,
Mhm.
right? Like that is something huge, especially for me as an individual, but also in my marriage. Right. And this is my first time actually sharing this too as well. I didn't realize that whenever it comes to finances or speaking about finances or dealing with finances, I'm stuck at the age of 13 because it comes from a place of lack,
Mhm.
of, having to having not having, right, and always wanting to hold on to, so not knowing where, you know what I'm saying, if I'm going to be able to get it, or if I'm going to get it, or how I'm going to get it, right? Because at 13 and 14, it was a struggle because
Mhm.
my mother was deep into her drug addiction.
Mhm.
So, my little summer job, I was always holding on to my stuff, and making sure I got my meals. And at that time my grandmother was really, really sick, so she was in and out the hospital, right? So there was a lot going on at the age of 13. So now, I couldn't figure out, I'm like, dang, every time, it comes to finances, I feel like I shrink,
Mhm.
right? So I'm like, oh, wow. So when I'm standing in front of my husband and we're talking about finances and I get all of my feelings and I get all of my emotions, he's not really talking to the 40-year-old Naisha.
Mhm.
He's talking to the 13-year-old Naisha. And I
Mhm.
have to go back to that age, and I have to, like you said, embrace that 13-year-old Naisha and tell her that it's okay, that you lack nothing. You have everything you need. You got it, right? But that was it. I'm talking about, and I cried for like days after that, because I'm like, but I didn't realize like that, but that was okay too. That was okay for me too, because now that was something that, that I have unmasked, right? And I uncovered it, and now I had to sit in it and deal with it,
Mhm.
right? And it's not like, okay, that I did it, it's done, and I'm good. No, I'm still like, but now I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to talk finances, right? So now, Naisha, understand that this is going to be, it's hard for you, right? But you just got to talk it out one moment at a time. Wait a second, like I'm feeling something, like hold on, pause, like. So this unmasking journey it's a forever journey, but I know what's happening now is I'm going beyond the surface. Like there's no more just surface layer stuff. Like I'm going underneath, because I can't carry this with me into whatever God has for me in this next season. um
Absolutely. So I am a really, really big advocate for mental health. I still go to counseling twice a week. One thing I'll probably say, I'll probably always go to counseling, even if it's not twice a week. Just if I just need to check in um,
mhm.
once a quarter. And I
Yep.
said all that to say because it took a therapist. I went through 3 therapists to
I'm
find
so
my.
happy you said that. Yes. Yes. Good segue. Good
It took,
segue. Come on, bring Holy Spirit, activate. Go ahead. I'm
listen,
sorry. Bring it
um, it took 3 therapists to find my therapist.
back.
The other ones weren't bad. They just wasn't my therapist. And we have a saying, stick to the plan. Okay. And sticking to the plan means that you follow through no matter what it is. And so following through for me meant always embracing those ages where I didn't feel like I was embraced.
Mm.
Um, in my mind, love, support, consistency, dedication, all of that ended when my dad died. Okay. That's not to say that I didn't receive it. That's not to say that my mother didn't give it. That's to say that in my mind, my knight in shining armor, disappeared, and I felt like everything else disappeared with him.
Yeah.
So I have to take multiple moments, multiple times a day to remind myself in whatever stage, whether it's um being okay when somebody hugs me, or being okay with somebody asking how I am, to say that it's okay, and it does leave you on a journey where you are crying, you are wet-eyed. um and really, I feel like tears are liquid prayers, and it's like that relief, like that, okay, like finally I got what I needed, and so I saw something. It says, when did living in your unmatched truth stop hurting? I'm not sure if it ever stopped hurting. I
Mm,
just think that as you learn to sit with yourself and embrace yourself, you become stronger.
yeah.
Um, there's things that I've uncovered, that I've had to unpack, that I've had to sort through, that I'm still sorting through, that hurts.
Yep.
And if I can be really truthful, it hurts like hell.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that I decide that I'm going to conquer it or face it and not suppress it, I find myself getting just a little bit stronger. So I think that if you keep looking for a timeline of when something will stop hurting, you're gonna be looking for forever,
Yeah.
you
That's
know. But I do believe that God makes all things new, and He has a way, as you're healing, to put a salve on it, and you develop a scab and a scar, and sometimes that scar is just a something that you can look back to say, I was once there.
mm,
It may not physically hurt, but sometimes we allow their reoccurring emotions to cause emotional hurt,
yeah.
because we all have this idea of what should have, could have been.
Mm, mm,
So you have to embrace what you have. Um,
mm,
that's the only way to do it.
yeah.
Embrace what you have. The only constant thing in life is change.
And change, you have a choice.
You do.
You have a choice whether you want to remain the same or if you want to change. And change is not easy.
But here's the thing. This is what I want to. I don't know what I want, the word I want to use, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to challenge what you just said. Is
Mm.
change really a choice?
Hmm. I
We
f-
always think that changing is getting better,
mm.
but changing can also be getting worse. You change in death just like you change in life.
Mm.
So it's whether you choose to embrace where you are is whether or not where you go. Whether you choose to change or not, that doesn't mean that the things around you doesn't change.
Right.
For instance, my husband bought me some roses and they're sitting on the table. They're dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
My birthday was December 5th. When those roses got there, I didn't have a Christmas tree up. I didn't have stockings. Everything around my roses has changed and they still sitting there. Change is going to happen regardless of what you decide to do.
That's good.
So we can't, if you choose not to do anything, that doesn't mean that everybody else is not going to choose to do anything.
Yeah.
That's just like, that's the reason why when people say, if somebody hurts you and they still go on and you still stuck there, they going on about their life. Everything else is still moving around you and you're still stuck, and that you have to put the proper steps in place so that you can get the healing that you needed. I wanted everybody else to heal me. I
Yeah.
wanted everybody else to fix me. I did. I searched. It was an endless pursuit. It wasn't until a couple of suicide attempts later, you know,
Mm,
um, and really my pastor making it mandatory for me to go to counseling. It wasn't an option. And I thought counseling was going to fix me. Correction, I thought the counselor was going to fix me.
that's good.
But you know what fixes me? Me doing the work.
Yep.
That's the only way you get fixed. And we say fixed like we're broken. We
Right.
can't break anything that God fixed. Who are we to break ourselves?
Right.
You have to do the work. Put in the time, put in the effort in you. You are the greatest investment that you will ever accomplish, that you'll ever come by. You are the greatest investment. We love to say, secure the bag. You're the bag. Why aren't you secure?
That's
Why are
good.
you still depleted? Why aren't you still whole? Why aren't you still telling your truth? Why aren't you still feeling the feelings that you need to feel? Why aren't you still loving yourself? Like, secure the bag, sis or bro. Secure you.
And that's, I always say with, with therapy, and I had to learn this after, I feel like, the third therapist. Like, therapy is not for the therapist, therapy is for you. So you don't allow therapy to work you, you work therapy.
You work therapy.
And somebody, my husband, I think he mentioned, he said change is process, right? Which is that is very true, right? Because we also always hear that cliche saying of trust the process. But really, do you really trust the process? I feel like you have to be willing to go through the process in order to trust the process. You got to be willing to put in the work. And it's like, it ain't really no other word to say, but it's hard as hell. And sometimes,
It's
baby,
ghetto.
baby, when I tell you, I'm like, yeah, I'm off this. Like, yeah, you can have this. Like, no, because sometimes, and you have to. I know for me, sometimes I even decide that I'll sit and be in the victim, and I find myself like, ooh, Naisha, wait a minute.
I
Oh, you.
think that's our problem. You just said a lot. I think that is a big problem. We get so comfortable with rehearsing being a victim. Like, it happened to you. I get it. Listen, if I told you everything that happened to me, I feel like to a degree, some of us are entitled to be the victim. But
Mm-hmm.
how are you benefiting from being the victim?
Yeah.
Like, we get so used to everything going wrong. It's a cycle. It's really a mentality too. You
Yeah.
have to break that thought pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that it didn't happen. It's not that you're not experiencing it. I that's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
I decided that I wanted more for myself. Um I feel like I was entitled to be a victim when I lost my son.
Mm.
Um the greatest gift that I've ever received, God gave him to me. He gave him to me for 13 months. And just like I carried him, um, I'm so glad that my son trusted me enough to pass away in my arms. I couldn't say that then, but I felt a way, you know. I felt a way that all of these mothers that neglect their children, that kill their children, that don't want their children, and you have your children and I don't have mine. Like, what are we doing here? I felt entitled to be the victim. It took some time, but I had to repent because I'm like, God, thank you for trusting me to experience such a journey and still be in my right mind. Have I always been in my right mind? Absolutely not. Have I wanted to throw in the towel? Absolutely. Have I tried? Yes. Have there been options? Yes. But it's a journey. If I choose to stay in the mindset of I lost my son, then I can't open my arms to receive whatever is next for what God has for me.
Right.
I'm able to have the capacity to love children. I love anybody's child. I mean, there's like it's a rule. Like, don't whoop no children around me because they didn't do it. It was a mistake.
Right.
If they ask for Starbucks, we need to give it to them because they need it. It's essential. It's like oxygen. Like love on a child. I wasn't able to do that, but I'm grateful that God has wired my heart so that I don't have to sit in such sorrow and I'm still able to give and express that love.
Right.
You it's all in how you look at it, perception, what angle that
Mm.
you choose to look at it. That doesn't mean that I don't grieve, you know what I mean? Because grief is something that is so inconsistent. I love to say that grief is ghetto. The definition of grief is ghetto. It shows up when it wants to, how it wants to, where it wants to, and I'm okay with that, you know?
Mm.
But I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim of sexual abuse. I'm not a victim of my village sometimes dropping me. I'm not a victim of none of it. You know what I mean? It's what built me. It's what
Yeah.
made me stronger. It's what made me the caliber of woman that I am. And let me tell you something. There's only one Breiana. Nobody
Yeah.
compares to her. Nobody as great as her, and nobody can be me. They
Yeah.
can try, but they can't be me. And I'm okay with that. That's my
Yeah.
truth. I'm okay
Right.
with it.
Right. I love it. Mm. Like I think we were saying, I was saying this before we actually went on live. I was saying, as I was reading your questionnaire, but I know you kind of speak about, the death of your son, right? And you kind of, you post pictures and different things like that. So I knew, right? And I just, as a mom, right? The fact that you are in your right mind and you're sitting in front of me on a camera and you actually can say it, right? Um, you just can't tell me that God is not real. Cause I'm like, could never even imagine. And like you said, he trusted you to go through that process, go through this process, because it's still a process.
It's still a process. I know that God is real every day that I wake up. Every day that um I choose to show up, every day that I choose to still believe the word of the Lord over my life, over my husband's life, concerning our family. I know that God is real every day that I have hope. Um to have another child. I know that God is real. Um, when I'm able to go to the cemetery and walk away, um, I know that He's real. Even the little subtle signs that He sends me to let me know that A, that He got me, and B, that my son is always present. Me and my husband went to out of town this past weekend, and my son name is Grayson. His name is spelled Greison. I, up until this point, has never seen anybody who spelled their son name Grayson in that way, and I spelled it like my name, Breina. So while we were traveling, we stopped at a store and something caught my attention, and there was a storage building, a storage company, and it was called Grayson Storage, and it was spelled Greison. And I
Wow.
was like, okay, God. And I, kind of chuckled because the holidays always trip me up. And
Hmm.
so then my husband went out and he had to go to the store, and I stayed back at the hotel. Well, the street that he turned down was Grayson's Trail. And Grayson
Mm.
was spelled Greison. And so
Mhm.
it's those little moments that tells me that, that God is real, because there's no way that those things can happen when they happen um out of coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I do believe in God. He puts you where you need to be. He lets you see what you need to see when you need to see it. And um I do toy drives for my birthday, which always ends up by Christmas. And I love buying gifts and everything for all the other kids. But I always think about, what would I be buying Grayson?
Mm.
Next year he would be 10. And I'm always like, what would he be into currently? Are we in the wrestling? Are we into trucks? Like, where are we? Are we wanting to be a scientist? I think about those things. And so when I have those moments where I'm like, gosh, like, what about this kid? He sends me those reminders to comfort my heart. And I never, ever, ever take them lightly.
That's good. You know, when you spoke about grief, my spiritual mother and pastor, she says something very profound when it comes to grief and dealing with grief, right? If you don't deal with grief, it will wait for you, right? So what if, right? What if you didn't make the decision to unmask, right, those emotions, and how impactful, you know, and how traumatizing and how hurt you felt about, your angel, right? You would miss those little moments of you seeing his name.
So, truth be told, um, grief did wait for me.
Mm.
My son passed away July 21st, 2015. I didn't stop buying baby clothes, diapers, and formula until, I want to say, November 2015.
Mm.
Um, Me and my husband immediately started trying to have another baby to replace um, Grayson. And of course, after suffering, miscarriages, then I act like it never happened. It
Mm.
took me approximately 3 years to stop
Mm.
and face the harsh reality of, yeah, he's not here, baby.
Mm.
Um, it took, I mean, not only did we purchase a headstone, we seen the headstone out there. I went to the cemetery almost every day. And still, with all of that, I still didn't come to the grips and terms that he wasn't here. Grief waited on me. Grief hijacked me. Grief had me sitting in a corner, not knowing was I coming or going. Grief had me lashing out and pushing everybody around, that was trying to embrace me, away. Grief had me mad at God. Grief had me mad at the church. Grief had me angry, um when I would hear certain things, um certain laughters, certain giggles. Grief had me create an idol. And I say that because my son adored Mickey Mouse. Um and I know we all think our children adore Mickey Mouse, but I say that one of my son's illnesses, he suffered from seizures. And for whatever reason, the vibrations from the Mickey Mouse theme song would stop his seizures. So
Mm.
that is something that he literally gravitated toward. So I started to buy everything Mickey Mouse, whether I needed it or not. I bought it. I made Mickey an idol, thinking that it would bring my son back. And
Mm.
so grief had me walking around like a zombie, and I didn't even know who I was. Grief will wait on you. It's not something that you can avoid.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I'm just now being able to see the beauty of seeing his name spelt correctly, or seeing his pictures and his laughter and things of that nature. I wasn't able to always embrace this beauty. So yeah, it'll wait on you.
Wow. I want to thank you for sharing that because that's not easy, right? And just kind of being able to kind of put words to it.
Mhm.
Um, that it allows people to understand, right, that this journey is not an easy journey,
It's not.
but as long as you're willing to put one foot in front of the other, you can do it.
Absolutely.
You can do it. You can do it. And I mean, that's a good segue too. I mean, the Holy Spirit just been activated through this whole podcast episode. Do you remember what your hashtag was?
Come back, kid.
Period. Let's go. I
Hashtag
love it.
I'm the comeback kid. Yeah.
I love, love, love. So everybody put hashtag comeback kid. Everybody got to drop it in the chat. Everybody got to drop it in the chat and just speak to why did you choose that hashtag?
I chose that hashtag because in retrospect, a lot of stuff I don't think I should have bounced back from,
Mm,
but I've done it. I've done it with the grace of God
yeah.
and like support systems and therapy. Listen, let me tell you something. Segue. I got the best, and I mean the best therapist on this side of heaven. You hear me?
Mm,
She is amazing. If it wasn't for her pushing me to do the work and then getting in the trenches and doing the work with me, some stuff I just don't know.
that's good.
Just I don't know, but I bounced back. I I got another book coming out real soon. I have two that I'm working on. But my next book is going to be called My Dad Died Again.
Mm,
And because of that, I'm being the comeback kid right now.
I love it.
And I'll share more in the book, but I bounce back. That's just that. I mean, I may fall. I ain't gonna tell you I'm not gonna fall. I
Right.
may lay down there for a minute. It may literally knock the wind out of me, but you bet your bottom dollar
I'm
I'm
getting
coming
back
back.
up.
Yeah,
I'm what?
I'm coming back.
Oh, I'm getting up.
I'm coming back. Believe that.
Ah, I love it. I love it. So, Bria, you say you have two books, right?
No, I have one published. It's this one.
So the link I want to put it in the comments, right? So if
Um,
anybody wants to
husband,
purchase the
can
book,
you drop the link in the book in the chat? And actually, if you guys want a signed copy, this is what I'll do. If you will inbox me, I will sign you a copy and I will ship it to you.
so
I
Come on,
will
y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm getting
I'll
my
sign
copy.
you a copy and I'll send it to you. Um, Willie or Jen, can somebody put my um email address in the comments, or I think I see my brother Justin or my sister Tristan, somebody. My email is Breiana.Addison@yahoo.com. You can send me an email, you can send me an inbox. I will be more than glad to sign your books and send them to you. You can go to Amazon and purchase it on Amazon. However you feel it.
I'm, I'm sitting here like, oh,
You're so funny.
I just love Brie. Like, this is crazy because every time I get like these bright ideas, I'm like, Brie, I was thinking about
So
doing
that
a new business card.
so that's what we're gonna do. So one thing I'll share this that um 2024 has in store is becoming with Brie. Becoming with Brie is all things branding, marketing, um, all of those things. I absolutely love them. I love pushing other people's visions and goals and seeing things that they have in a mind come alive.
Yeah.
So, becoming with Brie is another adventure. We're actually I will still have my graphic company. Addison Graphics is not going anywhere. We're sliding to Addison Enterprises, and Addison Enterprises will have all things Bree,
Yeah.
where we'll have my graphics, we'll have branding and marketing, and we'll have another thing that we're going to show really, really soon.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited.
So, yes,
I'm proud of you, Brie. For real.
thank
You
you.
are you are a true light um here on this earth. And I just thank you for just being who you are, and just allowing yourself to become greater.
Thank you. I 2023 taught me to stop sleeping on me.
Mm,
It taught me, I always used to say I'm not motivated to do something. It's okay not to be motivated to do something. You have to be disciplined to do something. So 2023 taught me how to discipline my mind. It taught me how to discipline my will. Um, and it's been a journey, but I'm so grateful to God to be here, to actually start experiencing and embracing literally some of the best days of my life.
that's good. That's good. So even in the unmasking, you can still find joy.
Absolutely.
Ah,
I may not always be happy. I may have depressed moments. I may have unsure moments, confused moments, perplexing moments. A few things I've known to be true. I can have joy, and God is good, God is faithful, and God will always be God.
and after that, there's nothing else to say. Drop mic moments, okay? Ah, so this has been nothing. I knew it was gonna be amazing. I knew it was gonna be amazing. I loved every minute, every moment, um, of just this year in general, of all of my podcast episodes. You guys have been nothing but amazing. So I want to say thank you, Bree. Thank you so much. I am looking forward to all new things to come
Yeah.
from you. You've been nothing but a blessing to me in my life, and I am so thankful for the connection,
Yes.
um, the energy. I just love it all. So, without anything else to say, I'm just overjoyed, overstimulated right now. Like, I'm like, oh, I just have so many emotions. Like I'm just like, I wish I could give you a hug. But I just thank everybody for coming on. And you guys have a happy new year, safe holiday. I love you all. Thank you. Thank you, Bree. I love you.
Love you guys. I know, right? Big heart, big heart, big heart, big
Bye,
heart.
everybody.